Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the show that looks into, well, sometimes quite ancient texts to find really practical wisdom for today. And today, we're tackling a source that's surprisingly short, but incredibly potent. To pull out those key insights, the kind of timeless lessons on things like getting through tough times, making choices, and, what real success actually looks like. Think of it as a shortcut to understanding some pretty profound ideas.
Yeah, it really packs a punch, this text. Challenges a lot of conventional thinking right from the start.
It really does. Let's just jump straight into one of those challenges. Right near the beginning, it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds. Pure joy when facing trials. That sounds completely backwards, doesn't it?
It does feel jarring at first glance, but the text gives a specific reason. It argues these trials, they test your faith.
Okay, test your faith.
Exactly. And that testing, it says, develops perseverance. And perseverance leads to becoming mature, complete, not lacking anything. So it's not about enjoying the pain, but seeing the trial as a tool for building inner strength, resilience.
I see. It's about the outcome, the strengthening. That makes more sense. But what if you're in the middle of a trial and just feel lost? You lack wisdom, as the text puts it.
Well, it addresses that directly. It says, if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to him. Seems straightforward enough.
Just ask. Sounds almost too easy. Is there a catch?
There is, a pretty significant one. It goes on. But when he asks, he must believe and not doubt.
Doubt.
Yes. Because he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind.
Right.
It says that person, the doubter, shouldn't expect to receive anything. They're called double-minded, unstable.
Double-minded. That's a strong image. So you need real conviction, not just a half-hearted wish.
Precisely. It's about commitment in the asking. No wavering.
Okay, now this next bit, this really made me pause. The text shifts gears to social status. It says, the brother in humble circumstances ought to take pride in his high position, but the one who is rich should take pride in his low position. The poor are high, the rich are low. What on earth is that about?
It connects right back to the trials and perseverance theme. It's asking, where's the real value? If you're in humble circumstances, your high position isn't earthly. It's the spiritual maturity you're gaining through those trials, that perseverance.
Okay, so inner strength is the high position. What about the rich person's low position, though?
Their riches, their status, it's temporary. Like a wildflower, the text says, it just fades away. So they should take pride, maybe recognize is a better word, the fleeting nature of that wealth compared to lasting spiritual value.
So it's flipping the usual value system on its head.
Exactly. And it hammers this home by saying, blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life. That's the real reward, not the temporary stuff.
That's a powerful reframe. Let's shift to temptation. Source is very direct here. It says flat out, when tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone.
Yeah, it cuts off that line of thought immediately. No blaming God.
So if God isn't the source, where does temptation come from?
The text gives almost a psychological breakdown. It says, each one is tempted when, by his own evil desire, he is dragged away and enticed. It's an internal process. Desire, enticement, sin to death. That's the progression it lays out.
Wow, so it originates within us, our own desires.
That's the argument. It contrasts this sharply with God, who is the source of every good and perfect gift. Good comes from above. This destructive cycle starts from within.
And from understanding this, the text immediately pushes towards, doing something about it. It warns, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says.
Right. That's a core theme. Action, not just listening.
And it uses that incredibly vivid analogy, doesn't it? The person looking in a mirror.
Yes. Looks in the mirror, sees themselves, walks away, and immediately forgets what they look like.
It's such a relatable image for hearing good advice and then just not applying it.
Exactly. And the text contrasts this with the person who looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom, and crucially, continues to do this, not forgetting what he has heard, but doing it. That person, it says, will be blessed in what he does. The blessing is tied to the action, the application.
So what does that doing look like?
It gives very concrete examples. It defines pure and faultless religion or practice as to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world.
Practical care for the vulnerable and maintaining personal integrity, it's very grounded.
Very grounded. It's not just abstract belief, it's tangible action.
Now, here's something else that feels very modern, very relevant. A strong warning against favoritism. It paints this picture, doesn't it? A rich person in fine clothes comes in, gets the best seat. A poor person in shabby clothes comes in, gets told to stand or sit on the floor.
It's a really sharp critique. It asks, have you not discriminated among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? It cuts right to the heart of prejudice based on appearance or wealth.
And how does it frame this discrimination?
It links it directly to violating what it calls the royal law, which is love your neighbor as yourself. Showing favoritism is presented not just as impolite, but as a sin, a failure to love properly.
A sin, that's strong wording.
Yes, and it even says breaking this one part of the law is like breaking the whole thing. It holds us to a high standard. But then it offers this incredible line, mercy triumphs over judgment. A hint of hope, maybe.
Mercy triumphs. That's a great point. And it leads directly, almost seamlessly, into probably the most famous section of this text, the whole faith and deeds discussion.
Ah, yes, the big one.
It asks that really pointed question. What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him?
It throws down the gauntlet, really.
And the example it uses is so stark. Seeing someone cold and hungry saying, go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed, but doing nothing physically to help them.
Right. It concludes, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Dead faith.
So belief without corresponding action is worthless.
Lifeless. That's certainly how the text presents it. It needs to be embodied. It uses Abraham as an example. His faith was made complete by his actions, specifically offering Isaac.
And Rahab too, right? The prostitute.
Exactly. Rahab wasn't considered righteous because of her status or background, but because of what she did helping the spies. Her actions demonstrated her underlying commitment.
So the conclusion is unavoidable then?
Seems so. The final analogy seals it. As the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. They're inseparable, according to this source.
Okay, let's move on to another very practical area this text tackles head-on. Our words. The power of the tongue. It starts with a warning, especially for teachers, and then says something quite extraordinary. If anyone is never at fault in what he says, he is a perfect man, able to keep his whole body in check.
Wow. Perfect control over speech equals perfect self-control. That's an incredibly high standard.
It really is. And the analogies it uses to describe the tongue's power are so potent.
Yeah, the small bit controlling a huge horse, the tiny rudder steering a massive ship. They really emphasize the disproportionate influence.
And then it gets darker.
It does. The tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Then the comparison to a spark setting a whole forest on fire.
The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil.
No man can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. It's incredibly strong language. Very sobering.
And it points out the contradiction, doesn't it? Praising God one minute, cursing people the next with the same mouth.
Yes. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? It highlights the inconsistency, the internal conflict this reveals.
Which naturally leads to the question. What guides our speech? What kind of wisdom are we operating from?
And the text contrasts two types. First, there's this earthly wisdom.
What characterizes that?
Bitter envy, selfish ambition. The text says it leads to disorder, every evil practice. He calls it earthly, unspiritual, of the devil. Pretty damning.
Okay, so that's one kind. What's the alternative?
The wisdom that comes from heaven. And its characteristics are completely different. First of all, pure. Then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere.
A completely different orientation towards peace, mercy, sincerity.
Exactly. And it concludes that peacemakers, those operating from this heavenly wisdom, raise a harvest of righteousness. Their way of being actually produces good results in the world.
So this links back to conflict. The text asks directly, what causes fights and quarrels among you?
And it answers its own question. Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? It locates the root of external conflict in internal turmoil, our own warring desires.
And it also warns about getting too attached to worldly things, right? Friendship with the world is hatred toward God.
Yes, it suggests a fundamental incompatibility between prioritizing worldly status or pleasure and a deeper spiritual commitment. You have to choose your allegiance, in a sense.
So if the problem starts within, how do we find resolution?
The text offers a clear path. It starts with humility. God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. Humility is the starting point for receiving help.
And then it gives specific steps, doesn't it?
It does. It's quite a list. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil. Come near to God. Wash your hands. Purify your hearts. Humble yourselves before the Lord.
It sounds like a call to active purification and reorientation, turning away from the internal conflicts and towards God.
Exactly. And it promises a result. He will lift you up.
Alongside this internal work, there's another warning about external behavior: judging others.
Right. Do not slander one another. Who are you to judge your neighbor? It draws a clear boundary there. Judgment belongs elsewhere.
And then there's that very practical bit about planning, about not boasting about tomorrow's business plans.
Yeah, the reminder that life is like a mist. Here one moment, gone the next. It encourages a posture of humility towards the future.
So instead of saying, I'll do this tomorrow, we should say,
if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that, acknowledging that our plans are conditional, not absolute.
This all seems to tie into knowing what's right, but actually doing it.
Absolutely. It culminates in that stark statement. Anyone then who knows the good he ought to do and doesn't do it, sins. It's the sin of omission, knowing better, but not acting on it.
And immediately after that, the text launches into this incredibly fierce condemnation of the rich who misuse their wealth.
It's really intense. Now listen, you rich people, weep and wail. It talks about rotted wealth, corroded goals, moth-eaten clothes, symbols of ill-gotten or hoarded gain.
It accuses them of living in luxury and self-indulgence, even of condemning and murdering the innocent. It's quite an indictment.
It's a powerful critique of exploiting others for personal gain and living extravagantly while ignoring injustice. A warning about the consequences of such actions.
But amidst these strong warnings, the text also offers advice on how to endure, how to support each other.
Yes, it pivots back to encouragement. It urges patience, using the farmer waiting for the harvest as an example. And it points to Job's perseverance through immense suffering.
Holding up examples of endurance. And it also touches on simple honesty in speech again.
Right. Above all, do not swear. Let your yes be yes and your no, no. Basic integrity in communication. Keep it simple. Keep it true.
And then it moves into the role of prayer and community, especially in times of trouble or joy.
Yeah, it's very practical. Is any one of you in trouble? He should pray. Is anyone happy? Let him sing songs of praise. Direct actions for different emotional states.
And it gets very specific about sickness.
It does. Call the elders, pray over the sick person, anoint them with oil, and it states that the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. It places strong emphasis on communal prayer and faith in healing.
This really highlights the community aspect, doesn't it? It's not just individual practice.
Not at all. It immediately follows with, therefore confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. Mutual confession, mutual prayer for healing. It's deeply communal.
And it reinforces the power of prayer with the example of Elijah.
Yes, reminding the readers that Elijah was human just like them, yet his earnest prayer stopped the rain and then brought it back again. It implies this kind of powerful prayer isn't reserved for just a few special figures.
So the potential for impact through prayer, through community action, is significant.
Very much so. And that leads perfectly into the final thought of the text. It's about bringing people back.
Ah, yes, the closing lines.
My brothers, if one of you should wander from the truth and someone should bring him back, remember this. Whoever turns a sinner from the error of his way will save him from death and cover over a multitude of sins.
Wow. So intervening, helping someone who's gone astray, has profound consequences. Saving from death, covering sins.
It really underscores the value placed on looking out for one another within the community. Individual action having potentially eternal significance for someone else.
So reflecting on this whole deep dive into James.pdf, it's just packed, isn't it? From handling trials with joy to the link between faith and action, the power of the tongue, favoritism, wisdom, conflict.
It really is. A short text, but incredibly dense with practical, challenging wisdom.
It covers personal integrity, social justice, humility, the importance of community. Still feels remarkably relevant.
Absolutely. And I think if there's one thread running through it all, it's that constant push towards doing. It's not enough to just know or believe something in your head. So maybe the provocative thought to leave you with is this. How does this relentless emphasis on action over just knowledge and that direct link between our inner desires and our outer conflicts, how does that challenge you to maybe rethink not just what you believe, but how you actually live it out day to day?
That's a great question to ponder. As you go through your week, maybe pick one thing from our discussion today, one insight, one challenge, and think about how you could actively explore it or apply it in your own life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep getting well informed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.